today's session, the Westful Namahata. We have Vrishti, who's going to actually give the class, and I will sing you a song from the songbook entitled "Prayer to One's Beloved Lord." But first, before that, we will start with pranams to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Ashtarishatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Hare Dipale Janama Goinu Hare Hare Dipale Janama Goinu Manashya Janama Paye Radha Krishna Nabhajiya Janiya Suniya Disha Koinu Hare Hare Dipale Janama Goinu Goloke Prema Dhana Golokera Prema Dhana Hari Nam Sankirtana Rati Na Jani Loke Nata Golokera Prema Dhana Hari Nam Sankirtana Rati Na Jani Loke Nata Hare Hare Dikhale Janama Goinu Hare Hare Dikhale Janama Goinu Samsara Bishanale Divani Shihya Jale Jurate na kenu upa Rajendra Nanda se Sachi Sutta hoilo se Balarama hoilo nita Dina hina Chakachilo Harinam udharilo Tara Shakshi Jagamadha Hare Hare Dipale Janama Goinu Hare Hare Dipale Janama Goinu Aha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Juta Karuna Kuro Ehoro Narottama Dasa Koi Nasihilo Nandrangapa Tumaradhina Kiyachamara Hare Hare Dikhale Janama Goinu Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nityananda Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So I'd just like to read the translation of the song that we sang, Bhajan. So let's go. O Lord Hari, I have spent my life uselessly, having obtained a human birth and having not worshipped Radha and Krishna. I have knowingly drunk poison. The treasure of divine love in Goloka Vrindavan has descended as a congregational chanting of the holy names of Hari. Why did my attraction for that chanting never come about? Day and night, my heart burns from the fire of poison, of worldliness, and I have not taken the means to relieve it. Lord Krishna, who is the son of the king of Vraja, became the son of Sachi, Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram became Nitai. The holy name delivered all the souls who were lowly and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madha, are evidence of this. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Vrishabhanu, please be merciful to me. Das Thakur says, O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved except for you? So this is a beautiful prayer by Narottam Das Thakur to our beloved Lord, Shri Shri Radha Radhana. So I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Her name is Vrishti from our Bhakti Shastri class. And today she's chosen the topic of Sing Krishna every way. So I now hand over to Bhakti Vrishti. Hare Krishna. Bhakti Vrishti, are you there?
Can you hear me? Okay. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Dear devotees, today I'll be discussing Sing Lord Krishna Everywhere. Let us begin. Let me just share my screen. Okay, host participants screen sharing. Okay. Okay, so let's start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Janatamirandasya Janajana Shalakaya Chakshur Umitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Ghorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanavyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so I have made a slideshow, so I just need to share my screen if that's possible. The host has disabled participant screen sharing. So Hare Krishna Prabhu, could you just enable me to share my screen, please?
Okay, Haribol Mataji, I'll do that soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so today my topic is seeing Lord Krishna everywhere, and I shall read from Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, verse 8, and the verse is Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Mata Sarvam Pravartate Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Buddha Bhava Samanvita. And the translation is, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. I will read from the Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupada, and then I will discuss. A learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya, and who knows how to apply these teachings, can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools. All Vedic literature agrees that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods. Okay, so as is stated in the verse and the purport, Lord Krishna is the source of everything. Therefore, wherever we look in this material world, we should be able to see Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is present everywhere and in everyone, as is described in chapter 10, verse 19 to 42. These verses describe the manifestations of Lord Krishna's various energies that can be seen in the material world. As Lord Krishna states in chapter 10, verse 19, that his opulences are limitless. From text 20 to text 42, the Lord describes the various manifestations of his energy that can be seen and understood by our consciousness, which has become contaminated due to contact with material nature. The Lord states that he is seated within the heart of all living entities as the Supersoul in verse 20 of chapter 10. This means that whenever we see any living entity, be it the ant crawling on the floor to the human being standing next to us, we must understand that within that entity is Lord Krishna, who resides within all as the Supersoul. Even though the fallen conditioned souls are not able to understand this point, we should understand this point and act accordingly by trying very hard to respect all entities around us. Lord Krishna continues to describe his various manifestations within this universe. I will read a few of the translations of these verses regarding Lord Krishna's various manifestations. So in verse 21, of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among stars, I am the moon. Verse 22, of the Vedas, I am the Samved. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force consciousness. Verse 25, Of the great sages, I am Brigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Verse 30. Among the Daityas, demons, I am Prahlad. I am the devoted Prahlad. Among subduers, I am time. Among beasts, I am the lion. And among birds, I am Garud. Verse 31. Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of the wielders of weapons, I am Ram. Of fishes, I am the shark. And of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges. Verse 32. Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle. O Arjun, of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self. And among logicians, I am the conclusive truth. Verse 39. Furthermore, O Arjun, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me. Verse 41. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Verse 42. But what need is there, Arjun, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. These verses show that Lord Krishna is present everywhere. When we praise the beauty of a shark swimming in the deep waters at the aquarium, we should understand that that beauty comes from the energy of Lord Krishna. When we see the majestic lion in the zoo or in some documentary, we should understand that the lion's beauty and majesty comes from a fragment of Lord Krishna's energy. Therefore, whatever we see in this material world that strikes us as beautiful is but a manifestation of the Lord's energy. And we should understand that this whole universe is resting upon a fragment of Lord Krishna's energy. Lord Krishna is present everywhere, and we should train our minds to see Lord Krishna all around us, constantly. An example of a devotee who fully understood seeing Lord Krishna everywhere is the story of Prahlad Maharaj. The story, which is adapted from the Srimad Bhagavatam translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada, goes as follows. Prahlad Maharaj was the great devotee who was the son of one of the worst demons, Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu thought of himself as God and did not allow the worship of Lord Vishnu. One day, Hiranyakashipu placed Prahlad Maharaj on his lap and inquired from him about his studies at school. Prahlad Maharaj began to preach pure devotional service to Lord Vishnu. Blinded by anger, Hiranyakashipu threw Prahlad from his lap onto the ground. Servants, take him away and kill him at once, he screamed. By becoming a devotee of Vishnu, Prahlad has become my brother's murderer. He is a traitor, a poisoned limb of the family, and he must be amputated immediately. Kill him without delay. The demoniac servants of Hiranyakashipu, who had fearful faces, sharp teeth, and reddish beards, then started to strike Prahlad's tender body with their tridents. They shouted, "Chop him up, pierce him." However, Prahlad just sat silently and meditated on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the demon's weapons had no effect on him. Seeing this, Hiranyakashipu became fearful and contrived various ways to kill his son. He threw him beneath elephants' feet. He cast him into the midst of huge, fearful snakes. He cursed him with destructive spells. He hurled him from a hilltop. He conjured up frightening apparitions. He gave him poison. He starved him. He exposed him to severe cold, winds, fire, and water. He even threw heavy stones to crush him. But throughout these trials, Prahlad simply meditated on Lord Vishnu, and thus he remained unharmed. Hiranyakashipu became very anxious about what to do next. Hiranyakashipu questioned Prahlad Maharaj as to where his strength to defy Hiranyakashipu was coming from. Calmly, Prahlad replied, "My dear king, the source of my strength is the source of yours also, and the source of everyone's, whether moving or stationary, superior or inferior. Every living being is under the control of the all-powerful Supreme Personality of Godhead." "You say there is a being superior to me?" said Hiranyakashipu. "But where is he? If he is everywhere, then why is he not present in this pillar you see before you? Do you think he is in this pillar?" "Yes," Prahlad answered, "he is there." Hiranyakashipu's rage flared more and more. "Because you are speaking such nonsense," he said, "I shall now sever your head from your body. Now let me see your most worshipful God come to protect you." Then, exactly at that moment, out of the very pillar that Hiranyakashipu had singled out, a wonderful and terrifying form appeared, a form never seen before, never before seen, half man and half lion, with angry eyes like molten gold, a shining mane that expanded the dimensions of his fearful face, and a razor-sharp tongue that moved about like a dueling sword. The Supreme Personality of Godhead had incarnated in his red bull form of Nishimadev. Shocked and bewildered, Hiranyakashipu gazed at the Lord, then picked up his club and attacked him. Boldly, Nishimadev played with him, just as an eagle plays with a snake, allowing him time and again to escape the long, threatening nails of his lotus hands. Finally, the Lord grabbed him and placed him on his lap. Then, in the doorway of the assembly hall, he very easily tore the demon Hiranyakashipu to pieces. Prahlad also offered the Lord very beautiful prayers, asking him only for the strength to serve him and to love him. When Nishimadev encouraged Prahlad to request some favor, the boy simply asked the Lord to save all people, including his demoniac father, from the repeated birth and death in this world. Thanks to the devotional training he had received from the pure devotee Narad Muni, Prahlad made his life successful. He remembered the Lord always and pleased him with his loving service. Prahlad Maharaj fully understood that Lord Krishna is all around us, and therefore he was able to confidently state that Lord Krishna was indeed within the pillar. This is the attitude that we need to adapt to. We need to focus our minds on Lord Krishna and be able to see him everywhere, regardless of the situation. In chapter 7, verse 8 of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, "O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in man." This verse shows that the Lord is indeed present everywhere and in everything. When we drink a glass of water that quenches our thirst, know that the taste of that water is an energy of Lord Krishna. The light of the sun and the moon are both the energies of Lord Krishna. So therefore, whenever we look at the moon in the night sky or at the rising sun, we must understand that the beauty of that light comes from Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is also the source of our abilities. Whatever we are capable of is by the mercy of Lord Krishna. Therefore, whenever we perform some feat that we thought we could never do, we should understand it is only because of Lord Krishna's help that we are able to perform that feat. Another place where Lord Krishna lists certain of his glories, particularly by pointing out how certain special features of this material world are by his mercy and spiritual potency, is in chapter 15. We should see these splendid things as energies of Lord Krishna, and thus we will be seeing Lord Krishna. In verse 12 of chapter 15, Lord Krishna says, "The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me." If it is not for the sun, there will be no life. We cannot see without the sun. Fire is important. Without fire and heat, where would we be? These are essential elements, as Maharaj mentioned in our classes, in our lives. And these elements emanate from Lord Krishna. We must see Lord Krishna's presence. And we must see these things as how it is related, how these things are related to Lord Krishna. We must see how these essential elements are Lord Krishna's mercy. People properly situated should see Lord Krishna everywhere. Foolish people cannot see Lord Krishna's mercy, and they cannot understand that these things are Lord Krishna's mercy. In the spiritual world, there is no need for sun, moon, and fire, but the natural state of the material world is darkness. Therefore, this world needs the sun, moon, and fire. This world does not need anything to make, does not need anything to make it dark. The material world is by nature dark. There is only light when the sun is there. When the sun is absent, it is dark. Whatever is helping us in our lives, Krishna is supplying that, and we should see that. These are essential commodities in our daily lives. Purushottam Yoga, yoga of the Supreme Person, is to recognize that these essential commodities is Lord Krishna's mercy. We are currently in the month of Kartik, which is a very auspicious month, as it allows us to engage in more devotional service to Lord Krishna. Whatever devotional service we perform during the month of Kartik has 1,000 times more benefit than usual. This month is spent hearing about the Lord's pastimes and spending more time doing devotional service. Kartik is also the best month to practice the art of seeing Lord Krishna everywhere. As during this month, the atmosphere is spiritually charged, and any devotional endeavor made. This month, we should try to hear more about the Lord's pastimes and begin to understand that Lord Krishna is indeed everywhere, and we just need to be able to see the Lord and his numerous energies. The fifth stanza of the Damodar Astakam is of particular importance in relation to seeing Lord Krishna everywhere. The fifth stanza goes as follows. Idham timukham pocham atyantanile Ritam kundale snigda latescha kopya Muhus kumpitam bimba rakta dharam me Manasi avilastam alam laksha labhe. Translation. O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become verdant, like Bumba fruit, due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. If we constantly meditate on Lord Krishna, we will be able to see Lord Krishna everywhere. And this will enable us to remember Lord Krishna at the time of death. Therefore, the ability of seeing Lord Krishna everywhere will increase our meditation on Lord Krishna and allow us to always remember him. Thank you for this opportunity. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Vrishti. We'll sing a bhajan on Hiranyakashipu and Nishingadeva, slaying Hiranyakashipu. So, Hare Krishna, let's start. Namaste Narasingaya Praladadayane Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilataganakalaya Ito Nishinga Harato Nishinga Ito Nishinga Harato Nishinga Nishinga Mahim Saranam Prapare Mahishinga Hriday Nishinga Bahir Nishinga Hriday Nishinga Nishinga Mahim Saranam Prapare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adhuta Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Karubrenya Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adhuta Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Karubrenya Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Nishingare 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 Jaya Nishingare Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So if there's any questions, we can take them now.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I've got a question. I can see nobody's asking a question, so I decided to ask a question.
Okay.
Now, Mataji, I heard that the Vrishti Mataji, thank you so much for the wonderful class. I just want to ask, in that verse she read, she said, of the demigods, I am Lord Indra.
Mhm.
So does it mean that we can pray to Lord Indra? And will it be the same effect? Or what, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lord Indra is the manager of the demigods, isn't that so?
Yes. Yes, he's the king of heaven, actually. And
Yes.
a king is a very exalted personality.
Okay.
And, so he represents Krishna. But that does not mean that, he is Krishna. It does not mean that. It signifies that because he's such an exalted personality, he represents Krishna. Okay,
Okay.
so, he is actually doing the service on behalf of the Lord. So in this way, Krishna, he says many things of Krishna and the shark. So that does not mean now the shark is Krishna. No, it means that of exalted personalities. Basically, you can see Krishna in all these exalted personalities and all the forms that Krishna is talking about in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 10. So no, it does not mean that we should now go and worship the demigods, because Krishna also, he states in the Bhagavad Gita that it's the wrong way to worship him by worshiping the demigods. So we should actually worship Krishna alone, because to water the root of the tree, then the whole tree is nourished. And the similar analogy is given. If you put food into the tummy, into the stomach, then the whole body is nourished, right? So we don't worship the demigods because they are part and parcel of Krishna. And yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you.
Sure. If there's no other questions, then we can say our pranam and end the session. Vanchakalpa Trubhesha Kripa Sindhuvecha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for allowing us to speak. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. That was wonderful.
Hare Krishna. Shanti Radhe.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna Shanti.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Kesha
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, wonderful class.
Hare
My
Krishna.
pranams.
Hare Krishna Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for another wonderful discourse.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the nice class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Prabhu. Thank you.
We thank Vrishti for her beautiful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Wonderful class.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya